Welcome to the Just All Haunted. What is it?
Just Haunted House Things podcast.
Take two.
Welcome to the. Oh, what is it?
Just Haunted House Things podcast.
One sec. Here.
I'm just like, you're just like so
Take
stoked.
three.
No, you good. That's even part of the podcast.
Yeah, it's actually great. I might add it. I might keep it.
Okay.
Take three.
Take three. Hola, bienvenidos. No, just kidding. Take four. Okay, 1, 2, and. Okay.
Welcome to Just Haunted House Things podcast.
Welcome to the Just Haunted House Things podcast. We have a wonderful guest here.
We have a fabulous guest here.
Her name is Gigi Saul Guerrero.
I love how we did it at the same time.
Gigi.
All right, cut out the effects, guys. Cut it.
It's cool.
Well,
it's
thanks
cool.
for having me, Courtney and Brianne. Thank you for having me.
Anytime. We're so excited to have you here.
Our very first guest.
Our very first guest.
Really? Am I breaking the V card of guests?
Yeah,
You are.
absolutely
Holy
are.
moly.
Yeah.
It's exciting.
I'm just
really
super
cool.
excited. So,
Better than my first time.
Hey, here.
for those of you that haven't listened to our first episode, we did mention Gigi and her involvement when we worked at a haunt together. Mm-hmm. Gigi, can you tell us your experience when you first started working at the haunted house?
Oh man, that's good memories working at a haunted house. It was one of those first jobs where I actually liked going to work.
Right?
Like I actually really enjoyed going to work, and it was at a really rough time in my life. Actually, when I had just turned 20, and I got in a really bad car accident.
Oh, no
like
way.
Near death car accident. Yeah.
Wait, I don't think I knew that.
No, neither did I.
I hadn't met you guys.
Right.
I hadn't
Oh,
met
that
you guys.
makes
Yeah.
That tracks.
And it was actually the night of the Olympics here in Vancouver.
Oh, wow.
Back in the
Okay.
Winter Games.
Oh, shit.
I got in a really bad car accident the day after my birthday. I turned 20. I was so stoked. And I got hit, by a drunk driver. And I
Oh, my
was,
God.
that whole summer, I was in physio. I had
Right.
a neck brace. I missed school.
Holy.
And it was really intense. And it was thanks to, applying for this job as an actor at a haunted house. I thought, well, maybe this is a good way to kind of find inspiration again.
Yeah.
And my inspiration was, I was in film school.
Right.
I was one of the only horror people
Right.
in my class. I know, weird. There was a lot of weird people in my class. But there was really only one other person, Luke Bramley, who's done the cinematography for me.
Yeah.
He was the only other horror person
Right.
in the class. And so this was just kind of a way to just find inspiration. And I remember my first day as a haunted house actor. Man, I just loved scaring people. I didn't know that was the rewarding part. Like, I thought the rewarding part was dressing up every day to
Right.
work.
Being creative.
Which
Yeah.
is where I thought my inspiration would kick in, or
Yeah.
like the decorations.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
No.
It was seeing especially like the older guys.
Yes.
And the dads be so scared.
Yeah.
That was like, I was like, oh man, I could do this job. Like, this was
For real.
awesome.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I stayed as a carny for 7 years. I think I must have done it for 6 or 7 years. I was there a long time.
But it was also on and off, so it's like,
Yeah.
I would say probably a little bit longer.
Might
than
have been
that.
longer.
Oh, maybe longer. Maybe like 8.
Because if you
No,
came
because
in
you started,
2010, right?
2010,
Because that's when the
right?
Olympics were.
Yep.
so it would have been the summer of, or
Yeah, it was
not
like
too long after.
towards the Halloween event.
Yeah, okay.
of
So it would have
the-
been like 8. That would have been like 8-ish years.
Yeah, and you were scaring.
8 to 9.
Yeah, and then you.
I
moved
became
up.
a supervisor
Yeah.
the year after.
Yeah.
It was it was awesome.
It was amazing.
No, I just felt like I had the perfect seasonal job, and
Yeah.
it just worked with how weird I am, because like I would be a carny and a filmmaker, and then during Christmas I would be the photographer for Santa
Right,
Land,
right.
you know, so I had the weirdest
Very
job
like
of
two
working with
extremes
people.
of the
Yeah.
spectrum.
Very, yeah. I even did the Taboo Sex Show.
Right, I remember
I was
that.
a photographer for that.
Yeah,
too.
which was awesome.
So I really was like getting a vibe of what it is to work with people.
Yeah.
But that's
And-
also like that's the experience of like a freelance artist of any
Yeah,
kind. Is
totally.
like you take the work you can get in the field that you're in any capacity.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Now-
I mean, I loved it, and I just kept going back. Like
Yeah.
I would just be a filmmaker in the day, and then I would be a carny at night. It was awesome. One of the best memories I have, though, I didn't have enough time to wipe off my makeup.
Right.
I had so much blood that one.
my
Thanks
gosh.
to you, Courtney.
You're
I
welcome.
remember. Nom, 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 nom. You would the blood
Needs
beard.
more blood.
Yeah, you would always do the nom nom sounds
Yeah.
with the blood.
Well,
And-
if you do the nom nom sounds while you're blooding someone who really doesn't want to
Yeah,
be
it's less
that
painful.
bloody, it's more entertaining. It's like
Yeah.
the airplane sounds when you're trying to
100%.
field like a baby. You're like, if it's a choo choo train, maybe you'll eat these mashed bananas.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried to make it fun because I know that, like, I know how gross it felt, especially
Yes.
going on at
Yeah.
first. So I did that often.
Yes, and that was the day that not only did I get the nom nom treatment from you, Courtney, but I was also late. So I had blood in my hair. I had blood everywhere.
shoot.
I had blood everywhere.
I gave you a blood beard.
yeah,
A blood beard.
It just went everywhere. So by the end of the night, I had it all over my hair, everywhere. So it was one of those days I was like,
There's no
F
get
it.
it. Get it.
I'm gonna go home like this.
You can't get it off at work. I get into the shower and get the whole
Exactly.
thing
Yeah,
off.
absolutely.
So, I kept my, bright green contact lenses on, and I just stayed in the not in the character, but in the makeup.
Yeah.
And I ended up hitting up a roadblock.
Oh, shit.
And it's still one of the best memories because I wasn't too far from my house. And so it's my turn, and I'm like, oh, God. And you can just imagine it, okay? The cops coming up, and then
Yeah.
my window just like goes down, and the guy like shines his light. He goes like, hey, hi, where are you going? And I'm like, hi, trying to be all friendly because
Yeah.
I don't look friendly at all. I just live literally 5 blocks down. I just got back from work, and I was nervous saying that. And he's so weird. He says, where do you work? And I said, well, look, I had a
Where do you
haunted
think?
house. I eat people. I said that. And he did not laugh. He just went, you eat people at work? I'm like, well, no, I mean, I pretend. But not like the guests. The guests come in, they get scared, boo. and he just kept looking at me with zero sympathy.
It's like, who
So
is this
you
crazy
scare
person?
people by eating people? He did not understand
It's a haunted house.
that it's a haunted house. And I looked at, that's when I did a weird face of like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, well, be safe and just let me
Eating
go.
people.
But the fact that he asked me, you eat people at work, he was serious.
Oh my God.
And it was so awkward.
Well,
It was the most awkward moment, I think, of being a carny.
just like running through my brain is like that poor officer must have been like, I've got a Jeffrey Dahmer situation on my hand.
Yeah,
There's
like-
probably someone in the back seat. I can't let this one go. Like, this is legit. She says she's eating people. She must be eating people.
Oh, he just, it was the longest like staring contest with this man. But even though the conversation was as little as I told you guys,
Right.
it was just the back and forth of, huh? What?
You
Huh?
eat people.
Huh? Like it was like, huh? Like just sounds like that were coming out of his mouth. I don't think he understood what was wrong with my
Right.
face, that a haunted house exists.
Oh my God.
That he just, it was great. So I mean, so that night I was like, wow, I must look so messed up. I gotta scare my parents.
Yeah.
So of course I woke them up with this face, and they hit me
Naturally.
with their shoe.
Oops.
But yes, no, it was worth it.
Sorry, Mama.
It's such a rewarding job. So
Yeah.
I just had to keep going back every
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. And like, I remember your first day because I think it was your first day. It might have been your second day, but I remember like shadow training you, like in.
Oh, you both trained me.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
You did it with like her first, and then I did it when
my
I
first
was
roaming.
Yeah. So
Oh
yeah.
right, yeah.
You both trained me very well.
That was fun.
Good answer.
I just remember like when we were in the room, we were in the nursery area themed room that we were in. And I was like, okay, I'll show you a couple of things. And so the first few groups I showed you, and you're like, well, that's really cool. That's really cool. I was like, yeah, you give it a try. And you got it like immediately. And I was like, you're fine. I was like, I stopped helping.
Yeah.
Because I was like, she's fine. And you were so excited. You were like, that was awesome.
Oh yeah, it was like an adrenaline rush,
Yeah,
scaring
yeah.
people. I
Yeah,
couldn't
yeah.
believe how cool it was.
Yeah, it's addicting.
Yes, it's addicting.
Yes,
Exactly.
absolutely.
You know, and I totally understand why, like, you know, some haunted house actors just can't stop but continue a scare after a scare after a scare in
Yeah.
the same group.
Yeah.
It is addicting.
Totally.
100. You need one more
totally.
bite of it. One
Possible
more bite.
and addicting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, okay, so I obviously you met her your first day. Mm-hmm. You were the boss lady. I met you, I think, on your like second or third day, and I remember walking in, and I think I was like being trained as a supervisor by you.
Yeah.
And I remember you being like, oh my God, wait till you meet this girl, Gigi. You're going to love her. She's so good. She's so good.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
was hyping
she was
Brianna
full
up.
on hyping you up. And I won't lie, when people hype other people up for me, instantly I'm like, she can't be that good. Like,
No, I do the same. Hey,
no,
for
but-
everything.
But I just exactly say, I was kind of mentioned to you guys earlier off the mic that like my brother, who has the most amazing wife right now, like when I first met her, everyone was like, you're gonna love her, you're gonna love her. And I'm like, that's what you said about the last one, and I did not love the last one
At all.
But much like you and much like my sister-in-law, like you guys are the exception to the rule, because this, like within 2 seconds of meeting both of you,
Yeah.
I just knew that you guys weren't hyped too much. If anything, you guys were underhyped.
Oh my gosh.
You had the, like, I think your hair might have been,
might have been longer.
My hair was super. My hair was like Samara long. Like
Yeah,
the
no, but that's what
grudge-
I'm saying.
The grudge
Yeah.
long.
You had,
And you used it to your
You
advantage.
totally did. And I
did.
wish
had
I
it dark.
had your
and
hair
I had
length.
it black.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dark.
Yeah, yeah.
And you were in the bloomers and a white button-up shirt, and you just like crawled out and just came to say hi to me, and you had the creepiest, biggest smile on, and you like cocked your head to the side and your eyes went really wide, and you were just like, hi. And I was like, hi. Exactly, just like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, hi. And then we go into the next room, and I was like, yeah, I like her. Yeah, you're right. You weren't wrong.
Actually, I think I remember her in the other room. Oh yeah, she's great.
That is on par. That is exactly what I say.
That's
Yeah.
so funny.
Oh, you know what? She is neat.
No, it was good times. Definitely, the that character, the little girl, was
Yeah.
my most favorite.
Oh, yeah.
And especially, I felt so just so happy when I would have to invite guests in the house. That was probably my most favorite, because it was the interaction with people, and people actually believing I'm real,
Yeah.
or actually
Yeah.
at least. What I like about it is the people that just have imagination.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I love movies so much, is
Right.
because you give people escapism. You know, you give people
Totally.
just the avenue and the opportunity to have fun.
Yeah.
And that it's okay to have
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
You know, life's already really rough.
Yeah.
So it was really neat, basically entertaining, being entertaining and bloody outside, you know, and that was probably my most favorite part.
For
One
sure.
may say having a bloody good time.
Oh.
I think we should start like a dad count, like a dad,
Dad counter?
counter
Yeah.
for me,
Ding,
and
ding.
just like I'm probably up to like 10 now, and this is
At
only
least.
the 3rd episode.
At least.
Oh gosh.
There's been a lot.
Ayo.
Ayo. So, okay, Gigi, question for you. With film school, can you tell us a little bit about like how Luchagore came to be, and like was there any correlation with working in the haunt?
And what is
with that?
Luchagore? We haven't really talked about that
well,
yet.
okay, so for people who don't know Gigi is a director for a company named Luchagore, does wonderful things with Blumhouse, and tell us a little bit about that, and then also answer my questions, please. And thank you.
Just give us all of your information.
No worries.
Write your
Give us a
sin
rundown,
down right
please, and
there,
thank you.
Your mother's maiden name.
So for those listening who don't know, I'm a genre director. I have 2 features now under my belt.
She's also a fabulous actress.
Incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Incredible.
You might have heard my voice on shows like Super Monsters or as Spider Girl.
Yep.
Vida!
Or heck, I might have invaded your TV screens at home in the new Swiffer and Colgate commercial
man,
that
okay.
did not stop playing.
I literally, my family messages me being like, I saw Gigi again. And I'm like, cool. That's like the 7th time.
The one time I showed my boyfriend about like your commercial, and you're like, jeggings. Every time I'm like, oh, I'm hanging out with Gigi, he's like, the jeggings girl. And I'm
I
like,
love
yes.
that. I love
Anyways.
that. I have people on my Instagram being like, I love jeggings again.
Yeah.
And all these things. I'm like, sure.
Anyways.
So you might have seen me directing or acting or doing the cheesiest commercials, but I love being part of the film industry. And but mainly I focus on horror. So the new film coming out, Bingo Hell, will be on Amazon Prime on October 1st.
So
exciting.
excited.
Should be a really
So
fun
exciting.
one. A good horror movie you can watch with your grandparents. I can't
yeah.
wait. But Luchagore Productions is the production company that I started with my good best friends, Rainer Shima and Luke Bramley.
Excellent people.
Wonderful people, super talented. And we started this production company while in school. Like I mentioned before, we really were the only horror people, which
Right.
is super weird. Everybody wanted to do the dramas and like the super funny comedies.
Right.
And nobody wanted to make a genre movie in school. It was really hard. And it came to the point where it was just Luke and I making all our homework alone and together.
Yeah.
And it came to the point before Luchagore became a thing. One of our biggest projects, which at the time was called Dia de los Muertos, a Day of the Dead short film.
Oh, yeah.
That actually you both worked on.
Yes.
And,
Yeah.
so
Did I
this
work
was
on that
my.
one?
Wait,
I think you did. You
I-
helped us with props.
did
Did I?
Did
You
she?
just helped us like. With
I
things.
sourced you things.
Oh,
okay,
source.
yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was like,
yes,
because
I did.
eventually you go down the line to make the props.
Yeah. Okay,
whereas
we'll get there.
we
We'll
weren't
get to
there
that
yet.
one. We'll get to that one.
So we made the short film, but how Luchagore started, to answer your question, it came to this short film, Day of the Dead, that nobody wanted to work on in my
Right.
class. This was my graduating short film.
Right.
It was
And
so much fun.
It was tons of fun to make. I mean, dude, Day of the Dead strippers. What more do you want?
so good.
right?
I had
And-
awesome makeup, and
Yeah.
I got to go around swinging a bat, and that's one of my
it's
favorite things
so
to do.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
So awesome.
And man, Luke and I were struggling because no students
Right.
of our school wanted to work on this until I said to Luke, I said, well, you might say no, but the rival film school, Vancouver Film School,
Which I
I've-
went to.
yes, I said, I've made some friends there and maybe we can sneak people in.
Yeah.
Long story short, we did. We broke all the rules. We snuck in like 80% of our crew was
Right.
from the other school.
Right.
I was gonna say because Rainer,
He did not go to our school.
which I didn't find out until a couple years later.
Yeah, and
Oh
so
my God.
our schools really just didn't like each other. We
Yeah.
would make fun of each other, and
Rightfully
rightfully so. We got in a lot of trouble, but then we ended up being awarded excellence in filmmaking,
Yeah.
which made our entire class not happy.
Well, I mean,
But it was a way of like taking risks, making
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
and it came out incredible. Like,
and it-
let's
and
not
it-
forget
and it
about that
worked
part.
out.
Like,
So
it worked
incredible.
became
so well.
part of an anthology on Netflix.
Yeah.
Like super
Yeah.
cool.
It's incredible.
So wait,
So
question.
that's how we started Luchagore.
Did Luch?
Like,
Okay,
yeah.
was there any? Because before that, I know that you and Luke and Rainer, Rainer, we all did Choose Your Victim together. So was that not like, was that before Luchagore, or was that kind of like the
that was
prequel?
before. That was
Okay.
like just before. So we since that Day of the Dead, we saw that we can make cool stuff together.
Yeah.
And we started making Choose Your Victim. We
Yeah.
started learning how YouTube works. We
Right.
started making viral hits. We'd made
Yes.
Evil Dead in 60 seconds.
Yes.
So fun.
We just started making viral hits that
Yeah.
really took off.
Yeah.
So we were like, man, we need a name. Like, we need
Yeah.
something. And
Yeah.
I remember I looked at Luke, and I looked at him so serious. And by the way, Luke's like the whitest guy in the team, right? Like, wonderful, older dude, blue eyes, blonde hair, right? And I said to Luke, Luke, what's that name you used in theory class 3 years ago. Oh, the one you hated? I'm like, yes, what was it? Luchagore, because you love luchadors. And so I said Luchagore because it's a cool double meaning. And I said to him, Productions! Luchagore Productions! Perfect! And he's like, wait, but I came up with it, right? Like, it was still...
Oh my God!
I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I love it now. And, like, he was all, like, happy and mad because when he told me that in class, it was before we did anything. It was when I did my very first short film called Dead Crossing.
Yes.
You can see it on YouTube.
I remember that one.
Oh,
I was 19 years old. My whole family acts in it. There's like the littlest of like lights and stuff. And Luke said, well, we should be Luchagore team. And he said that to me in class. And I just looked at him like, that's a stupid fucking name. And he was so distraught. He's like, oh, really? It's like a really cool double meaning. And I'm like, no, I get the double meaning, dude. I don't like it.
I don't like it.
And I straight up told him that until like 3 years later. I'm like, what's that name? He's like, the one you hated? Yeah, that's the name
And
of
now
our
it's
team.
like
And I was like,
ridiculously recognized.
Yeah. World
hey, all
renowned.
all the credit to Luke. But
Well
you know,
done, Luke.
Proud of you.
But you know what? While in film school, I was pretty bullied in school, and I felt working as a carny, it really helped me not just find myself, but I made real friends. Like I made real friends. It was a place that I could be my weird self.
Right.
And when I say to find inspiration, I really mean that. And I just really learned just how people get scared, how people love to interact, how to just read people and their body language.
Yeah.
And it was those friendships, like, man, like working at the haunted house, all of those friendships ended up being a blessing, not just in my life, but in the rest of my career.
Right.
People have worked in makeup department, production design department, actor friends, and just giving me the opportunity to, at one point, film commercials.
Right.
So
Oh,
I was
yeah.
truly practicing my craft through the haunt job.
Right.
And I really found the love and the inspiration through film. And I just loved being so invested in the horror world by
Right.
actually acting in it, being
Right.
part of it.
Yeah.
And even inspiring actors and training them on how to
Totally.
how to just be their weird selves.
Yeah.
I think weird is cool. And
Totally.
so I really found my confidence through there, and I really mean that. Yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
I hope that answers
Yeah,
kind of your
absolutely does.
Totally.
Absolutely does. And like, I can attest to that and I can resonate with that is that like working at a haunt, it really helps you become like your true self.
Yeah.
Because when you're like, even as a character, you're allowed to not like, you don't have to hold back anything.
Exactly.
And you're encouraged to like kind of go full tilt.
Yeah.
So like the weirder you think, the better it is. And I think that can be really inspiring, especially for like any type of artist, like whether it's like filmmaking or music making or like acting and like any of those mediums, like any medium that you could possibly think of. Like if you think outside of the box,
Yeah.
you're going to, and you're around people who also think outside of the box, it's just going to build on top of each other and you're going to get like better results in your own craft, I find.
100%.
Like it's just one of those things that kind of like breeds creativity, right?
Absolutely.
For sure.
It's but you're right, because it's you're surrounded by so many people that are coming from different backgrounds that and just like different past experiences and have different futures planned for themselves, whether it's going to go the way they want it to or not.
Yeah.
But you are like, as you said, inspiration. Like I would get inspiration from watching you or watching you, Courtney. I would get inspiration from just hearing stories of other people scaring or just walking into a house and maybe we added a new like prop that like makes one area just pop a little bit more, so it gives it a little bit more detail. It's like it really is about finding that inspiration anywhere, whether that's with the guests that you're scaring, the people you're working with, or just the environment that you're surrounded in.
Totally. And what I loved about it is just how unpredictable it can be. And I felt life was like that.
Yeah.
You know, I
totally.
felt that I could relate with, I'm a very spiritual person. Of course, I'm Mexican. What do you expect, right? And so I always find like the universe or like the world or God, whatever you want to call it, will always have surprises for you.
Right.
Yes.
And you will always be able to, in a way, be ready and always tackle them because there will always be a much bigger surprise.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just felt how unpredictable my choices would be as a haunted attractions actor.
Yeah.
It just allowed me to just have fun.
Yeah.
And just be myself and know that when I get out of this job, I can worry about what's to come
Yeah,
later. And
totally.
I just was able to just relax.
Yeah.
Man, that's how weird I was. When it would be slow times, I mean, I would sleep.
Oh my God,
I
yeah.
would sleep and just wait for the next guest to come in, and
Yeah.
I could hear like screams of people dying.
Yeah, yeah.
And
You're like,
and I just felt, some people feel comfortable in like busy city sounds.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh,
Oh,
I
yeah,
love
that
the sound
white
of
noise.
like, yeah,
The
busy
haunted house.
city.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
me,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I love the sounds of horror.
Well, like
and the organ.
Oh my God,
And
the
I was
guy at the
like,
front.
I'm
Yeah.
home.
Well, for me, it's like, and I said this before on a previous episode, keep going. Well, this happened on the last episode where Lucifer was like, I want in. And we're like, okay, Lucifer. Oh, hello, little dude. He does not like the fact that there are 3 lovely ladies hanging out and he can't be involved. What a little suck. But yeah, I fall asleep to horror movies.
Yeah.
So you put me in a haunted house with all of these natural sounds that I fall asleep to, and that is my version of ASMR.
Yeah.
And the
Yep.
best place for me to fall asleep was, there was a living room area where you could, like, they had this couch, and it was pretty broken in, so it was pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
That couch was great.
That couch was great.
And
I
that
fell asleep
part
on that
was
couch.
the warmest corner of that
It
house.
was.
so hot.
And I'm a sun lizard. I'm like, oh, this feels like
Yeah.
Cancun.
Well,
But,
like that one and like the kitchen
The
area.
kitchen. But that's like, I think when people would say, like, or at least newcomers would come in and you'd be like, oh, I fall asleep in the kitchen all the time. Just make sure that you're kind of aware for when people come through. Like, there's an air cannon a couple rooms away
Yeah.
that will wake you up.
You would stay,
Yeah.
you would get woken up just in time.
But if you're
It'd
waiting,
be like,
if anything, it's a more visceral reaction. But like, it's how it's like.
Don't do what we do.
No, but like you've got constant thunder and lightning going on in this
so
kitchen,
loud.
White noise,
That's
white
the
noise.
and then strobe lights. But these strobe lights and these cabinets that would like bust open only turn on when someone hits the sensor. So otherwise, you've just got thunder sounds and kind of like rain sounds behind you, which.
Yes.
How many people in the world actually fall asleep to that on a regular
lot
basis?
of
That
people.
is a calming noise. So how can you not put me in a dark room in a dark corner where I'm not going to have anyone come bother me for at least 45 minutes and then give me thunder? Like, I'm going to fall asleep.
Yeah. Should we talk about the shadow people?
Oh gosh, sure,
we-
but I'm scared.
Have we talked about them yet?
I don't think we have.
I think we were going to talk about it last time and we never did. We ran out of time with our meandering.
Meandering.
Well, look, here's the thing. I'll go first. Yo, shadow people are real, man. And they like to mess with you. So what
Yeah.
better place to mess with you than in a haunted house where things are already moving and weird.
Yeah.
So, though I was all like, oh, I found my inspiration again. I found fear too.
Yeah.
And and there's times, man, like things at the haunted house weren't always working.
No.
Like I would remember things would be broken and then suddenly
They're working again.
that animatronic was working. And I'm like, no, you're not supposed to work. You were not working. And
And then you're trying to
you
set it
would-
off again and it's not
yeah,
going.
You would hear things. And I'm one of those people, you can feel a presence. And I remember in the back room, when an actor has a break, I love that we had a TV and
Yeah.
movies playing.
Yeah.
And in one of those times, definitely we had The Exorcist playing.
Right. I think I remember this story.
Oh, really? Maybe you tell it.
No.
Please keep going. Keep going.
I
keep
don't.
going.
I probably know this story, but I don't remember it right now. So keep going.
Keep going. Keep going.
I'm
keep
excited.
going.
Well, I have many, so I don't know if this one's that.
Oh, maybe it's a different one I'm thinking of.
Maybe. But it was, so I was on break, and Exorcist was playing, and it
Yeah.
was right during that part where it's terrifying,
Right.
where they're doing the exorcism.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay. I was like, what part? That movie's quite terrifying in many parts.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. So they're doing the full on exorcism. She's like, I do this.
Is
to
it
the
your mother
in hell?
cocks in hell? Yeah.
Well, see, I kept it PG.
I
Brian.
don't.
Okay.
It's fine.
I don't.
And it was all that, and man, I remember eating my pozole.
Yeah.
My mom
Yeah.
packed me pozole.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was just like, watching and my hands trembling. And right when all that crap happened, everything in the back room, the lights went out, everything went out. We had, I don't know if you remember, but we had a complete power outage.
Oh my
I was
God.
terrified, and I remember no one made a noise. And I swear there was shadow people in the closet with all the costumes because I could hear the hangers moving of someone
hate
back there.
that.
So I even said, I remember I even was like, is there a supervisor here? I'm here. And no, and then whoosh, everything came back on. I'm like,
I'm
just
fine.
not okay.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, but there was many, many stories of
I thought-
shadow people.
I thought- I
especially
thought
when
this was one-
I became a supervisor.
Yeah.
Definitely saw
Yeah.
things,
So-
felt things. No.
For reference, we worked at this haunt, obviously. Duh. So, there.
If you haven't caught on.
If you haven't caught on, we used to work at a haunt, okay?
Wait, that house was haunted?
It was haunted. Okay.
Our Jersey versions.
Okay, getting off track. Meandering.
Don't meander that far.
So in this house, we had a variety of stories come through from different people.
Yes.
Of different types of trickery happening in the house in different places at different times. And it was always different people every day.
Yep.
And sometimes you would go days, weeks, months without
With nothing.
And then suddenly someone will come into the back room or after shift and be like, did y'all hear this? Or were you in the corner when this happened? Or were you in the house when this happened? Because I heard something. Or there was somebody hiding over here and blah, blah, blah. So there's always constantly things happening. And as a supervisor who is constantly a supervisor, I tried to debunk a lot of it.
Well, that's one of my favorite stories with how my experience was, and you tried to debunk it.
Yeah. And I wasn't the only one who tried to debunk it.
No.
Because another supervisor also tried to debunk it because it was so weird.
Yeah,
And Brianne, I'll let you tell the story because it was so wild to me.
To you, okay.
It was wild to her.
Mind you, I had been in the working. It had been a couple years working at the haunted house.
Because you worked a couple years before I did.
No, because you started in 2010. It was just 1 year. I started the 1 year
Oh,
before
okay,
you.
so
So,
we-
it was
same
but
time.
the same thing happened where it's I started the 2009 Halloween season, and then the next year I was being trained as a supervisor. So when I was being trained as a supervisor, you were being trained as an actor. So it was really close. I was just really, really poor, so I stayed at the job much longer. So
And I wish all of you listeners could have seen her face. She was very serious when she said that.
She was 100%
There was not a
serious.
single crack of a smile. She was
was
very
legit.
poor.
I
still am.
Me too.
And student loan kicked in today. Very sad.
Oh, again, that's a whole nother podcast episode on its own.
Ouch, ouch, ouch.
So I'm in the kitchen, my favorite spot to take a nap, and it is a daytime shift. So I was like, cool, I got tons of time to sleep and do nothing. I think I was actually working on an audition piece and just
Right.
on my phone as well. Whatever.
It's fine. Don't do what we do.
No, do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
So when there's the path in this house, it's if you are in your scare zone and you're facing out to where the guests come in, the guests come from your right. They walk in front of you. There's a butcher block in front of you to keep a separation, and then they leave on your left.
Right.
You have to come into the room on the right. You hit a sensor. When the sensor goes off, all of these things happen at the same time.
Things start moving.
Yeah,
lightning,
specifically, it was the light strobe start going off. The people in the fridge, which we talked about before,
Yes.
start banging.
Yeah.
And the pots.
Pots and pans start shaking, and specific cupboards start opening.
Yeah. And the fridge was on its own trigger.
Yeah.
While the air cannon, the pots, and the cupboards were all on the same circuit.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
is
Lots
integral
of things
for this
happen
It
story.
is.
with the
Integral.
motion sensor.
Yes, exactly.
So what happened is nothing's going off because no one's coming through. And these triggers, again, are all like on a specific sync and a specific timing. So every time someone comes through, the exact same timing goes off. So eventually you just know how many times that cupboard is going to slam when someone walks in front of it. So I'm just hanging out. It's probably been about a good 15, 20 minutes since the last guest came through. And out of nowhere, the pots above me drop. And they start shaking, stopping, shaking, stopping, shake, stop, shake, stop, shake, stop. And then they go up again. And like one of the cupboards opened and closed, and that was it. And I was like,
super weird.
I full on stopped, and it felt like everything drained out of my body. And I was like, the fuck?
Did the air in the room get heavy?
It felt heavy.
Yeah.
It just, everything felt like it. You know those scenes in like movies where people...
Where you're about to die? Well,
yes. But also like you're in space and it's like they cut the sound out.
Yeah.
And you're just like, but you get that heavy
all you
feeling.
Can hear is you.
Exactly. And it's just like the breathing. That is exactly how it felt. And I was like...
Because adrenaline starts going
I'm
and you're
going
like,
to
what
die.
the heck just happened?
So like 5-10 minutes later...
I come through.
You come through. And you're like, hey, how's it going?
How
I was
did
like...
you not leave? I would have left. I would have left. You know, like the little girl in Jurassic Park that she's got her hands out. Ah! The velociraptors behind her. That's me. That's me.
You would have come and found me. You would have come and found me.
Because I was like, because at first I was like, you think about different things to be like, oh, let me write it off.
Yeah.
And I was like,
you try and rationalize it.
And Courtney came through, so I was like, okay, let me ask.
That must be like a white girl thing that you
Yeah.
stop and rationalize.
Yeah.
No,
Yes,
Latinos,
absolutely.
we ran quick to the other side.
I was determined to be
Dead?
the Sydney Prescott of like Scream, and she by the third movie like faced her villain. So I was not that it's a good one at all, though I do love it. I was Scream 3 Sydney Prescott.
Good God.
Meandering. Anyways, so Courtney comes through, and I'm like, hey, is someone working on the compressor upstairs? And she's like, no. I was like, is anyone doing any work upstairs? Because that's where everything like...
Right, that's where the switches were.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm, that's right.
She was like, no. I was like, so I told you. I was like, okay, this is what just happened. And she was like, interesting. She goes away, and to get to like the actual upstairs would be about 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Within 2 minutes of her leaving, the pots and pans dropped again. Shook in a different pattern from its normal pattern and from what happened earlier.
scary.
And then the fridge went. And I was like... But like the fridge just like bang, 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 and then done. And I was like,
Yeah. And I remember I went upstairs to check to see if anyone was up there.
so you had said, you were like, you came back down and you were like, was anything moving between like when you had left again?
Yeah.
Was anything moving between these 10 minutes? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, why?
And I was like, I was up there.
You apparently were like pulling on the
Because for reference,
compressor.
well, no, I wasn't pulling on the compressor. For reference, there's like pieces of that prop of the actual like pots and pans that protrude through the floor because it needs enough space to like move
to go
with
up and
the
down.
pistons, so that it can go up and down. And I actually tried to move it myself, which it is very difficult to move. But I tried with all my might to move it myself because I was like, well, maybe some of the tech guys were like trying to test something.
Or maybe they were trying to play a prank.
Maybe they were trying to play a prank, or someone was trying to play a prank, or maybe something, right? And I even like tried jumping on the floor and stuff like
Which
that.
I didn't even hear. Like,
She didn't hear
you can't
anything.
hear people. I mean, mind you, yes, there's like thunder and lightning and a lot of other haunted house background noise.
Yeah.
But you can't hear people walking above you.
So I was trying to like with all my might to like move this thing. And I think I grabbed like someone afterwards, like the next day or like the next week. I think it was like one of the other supervisors who I was training, and I was like, can you help me with something? Because like they were a dude, and I was like, maybe they're stronger than me.
Maybe two people need to do it.
Maybe two people need to do it. So we tried, and like the person that was in there, because we didn't tell them that we were going to do it because I wanted to see what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I came down and I asked them, I was like, did that move? And they're like, it kind of shook. But it wasn't like up,
But
down,
like
up,
I'm
down.
talking like
That's
it
with
dropped
force.
out
with
of
force.
place.
Yeah.
It dropped out of place, and like if someone grabbed you by the shoulders and literally shook you back and forth.
Yeah.
And he basically said that it just like did this and like a little bit of this, and
And
not
by
like
this
boom,
she
boom.
means like a small
like a little
vibration.
Yeah, a small vibration, and a couple of things swayed, but it wasn't like vicious moving.
Yeah, no, they swung.
So, and he was even freaked out by that, which is because he had heard your story.
Yes.
And so he was like,
Told
"Oh, it was
everybody."
weird." But I was like, no, that was me. You're fine.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, okay. And I was like, if you see anything else that's like different, that might be something that like maybe it's a mechanical thing that I need to get sorted.
Yeah.
Like maybe there was something wrong with the prop that we need to have looked at. So we were trying to debunk it like crazy. And like, yeah, it never happened again.
No.
Never happened again.
And from that moment on, every single time I walked into that house, I said hello to the shadow people.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's actually what my mom always tells me.
Yeah.
'Cause she, for those who believe, she definitely,
I believe.
would practice a lot of things mediums would do.
Right.
And she always says, if you feel presence, hear anything, say hi.
You just acknowledge.
Or acknowledge they're there, or if you really don't want them around, don't be too rude, but just say, not today.
Yeah.
I really don't want you here
Yeah.
today. And she always tells me, just talk. And sometimes I hear my mom upstairs, hola, ¿cómo estás?
Yeah.
Out
Yeah,
loud,
yeah.
I'm like, oh, she's talking to a shadow person upstairs. Oh, girl.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm going to stay downstairs.
But let me tell you, that story Brienne said, like, that spread like wildfire with all of us actors. I remember all of us were like, oh, okay, I definitely don't want to work in the kitchen, like all of us. And me being Gigi, who's scared of everything, I'm easy to scare too. Yes, I know, ironic. And I had
That's why you make such good scary things.
I don't know. And I had the biggest scare of my life. Still today stands as the scariest moment of my life. I was, in the nursery that has this window you can scare people even again.
So good.
So that makes your back, towards the hallway. And I just was staring out the window, staring at the sunlight, hoping to be on my break fairly soon. Little did I know Courtney was trying out all the costumes.
Yep.
And she was trying all the costumes. Funny, you're wearing the shirt of this character.
I should also mention that there was like a screen in the back room that I could see into the house. So I could see where everyone was. And like, I could see the security cameras at the time.
Yeah, so you knew I was not looking.
Yeah.
And you very sneakily, Courtney was trying on all the Michael Myers costumes, getting them prepped. And she just got very much in character to be as quiet as Michael Myers and go in my room. And Courtney's pretty tall, Courtney's a little taller than me, or my height. And
She's tall enough.
she's tall enough to be Michael Myers. And just as soon as I turn around, there's just this big Michael Myers motherfucker right in front of me. And just all I remember Courtney did was like just like the
Didn't I
littlest
say your
of-
name? I said something like
Gigi, like super. Yeah, you did. And I don't even remember my reaction. I just remember I nearly peed. I think I actually might have peed myself,
It was the
and I
greatest.
screamed so loud, yeah! Like it was just so big. And from then on, everyone knew, scare Gigi, it'll work.
it was the greatest
Because
day.
for the next
It did
6
work.
years, boy, did everyone love scaring me.
Okay, but also, Gigi, let's just put this a little into perspective. It'd be like you coming out of like a bathroom and you're just like not looking ahead of you. And I remember I turned a corner one time and I was like, "Hey, Gigi," and you're like, "Ah!" I was like, "You good?" And you're like, "Why do you scare me like that?" And I'm like, I said your name. I'm so sorry.
So funny.
Yeah, no, I was always on edge for sure. No, Courtney, that's by far the best scare anybody's ever done to me.
And you know what? It was so simple. I was like, this isn't actually going to scare her. But I was like, I want to scare her because I could see you on the monitor. And I could see that you weren't paying attention.
Yeah.
And I was like, how can I scare this woman?
But that's the thing is like simple
Yeah.
works.
Simple does work. And I just remember I was like going through like that body hallway where all the hanging bodies were. And I was like peeking through the like the
curtain.
the curtain, and I was like making sure that you were still looking out the window, and I was like, now's my chance.
yeah, it
And I
was
just
perfect.
like, and I like tiptoed my way over to you. I was like, I really hope nothing goes off. And
How long did
miraculously,
you wait for me to turn around?
like a minute.
God, that's a long
Yeah.
time.
That is patience.
So I was just like standing there and I was like, maybe she'll turn around. Maybe she'll turn around. Maybe she'll turn around. Because like
Well, I'm glad I didn't scratch my butt or something.
like the animatronic that was in there didn't even go off.
No,
which was like
you were so
crazy. It was like
like
magic.
the crib, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
So it didn't even go off.
well, that thing didn't go off half the time anyways.
I know, but like I was coming from that area.
That's
so
fair.
realistically, it should have
should
gone
have,
off.
yeah.
Right. And so I was so nervous that it was going to go off. So I managed to like not make it go off. And so you were still like laser focused out there and you were like, I don't know, haggling at someone outside,
yeah, I was
right?
just making fun of people outside.
Yeah. So I just remember being like, Gigi. And you were like, "Wah!"
Oh man, it scared the crap out of me.
Maybe that was the shadow people like giving you like a little
Maybe.
like assistance on that
Maybe.
so you could get her.
Maybe.
Which, okay, I have a question for you guys. And because of my experience with the haunted house, because that isn't like nothing in the haunted house that we worked in, like nobody died in it.
no.
Nobody, like no bad things happened in it. We, as far as I know, to our knowledge, there was never like a demonic kind of
Yeah, no,
ceremony there to like
No.
quote unquote bring in
Yeah.
any type of shadow people.
No.
So, and this is something that I have firmly kind of believed on, and other people, well, I used to watch like Paranormal Activity and stuff like that
right.
growing up. And I remember they kind of touched on this as well. Do you think that if like an entity or like a solid foundation has enough story and has enough energy from people put into it, can it create like a real haunted situation?
Maybe.
That's a good question. I think it definitely depends on the type of people that work there.
Yeah.
Who have a history or whose bodies and just spiritual bodies are vulnerable that can bring with them
Right. Like attachments or whatever.
attachments,
Yeah.
past things. And man, like just think about all the kinds of people that have walked through there and people who have
Exactly.
malicious intentions.
Right, right.
Let's think about
Whether
all
they're-
those guests that walk through that were not kind.
Right, right.
Yes.
They too bring
Like a
type of
energy.
energy.
a type of energy that is just not
That is said for
Right.
spirits to like
Yeah.
feed on, because even the story of this particular haunted house, a part of the story was one of the characters created a portal
to bring
to bring
people
that were dead, bring people back from the dead, which when it was tried to be closed wasn't properly closed. So this is a story that stuck around for quite a few years,
Right.
and was told to people over and over again, and these characters are being recreated through different people, whether they have different belief systems,
Yeah.
have different energies and bring in their own style of character, but they're feeding into that same story over and over again. And then we're telling this story to customers, and then
Right.
the customers are spreading that, and then other people are coming.
Right.
So I'm just wondering, do you think there's a possibility for like a haunted house that wasn't actually, didn't start haunted because it was just a 4 walls and a door?
Well, I mean,
could it be created into something?
I don't know. I don't have enough knowledge of it to
Yeah.
like say yes or no. And like maybe there's someone out there who could like answer that question that's more knowledgeable, but like it's possible. But I remember before it was how you remember it, that corner, like where the kitchen area was always felt odd.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't ever like weird things that I saw at the time.
Yeah.
But there was always like a weird vibe back there. And I know that when it changed over, the vibe wasn't as harsh. So I don't know if it was just the room or what. But it definitely increased after the story changed over.
I'm sure.
And actually before, like when Brienne's story caught wildfire, no one knew about my story that happened before Brienne's. So it was a brand new house. Like everything was brand new. So it should work properly, right? I was in the kitchen. I was in the kitchen area.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. So I was in this kitchen area where Brienne was. And I'm sitting there and there was fog back when we had fog in the houses. And one of our friends who we still know was in like the other room, in like the living room section. And I was like sitting there and then the whole room starts going off. The kitchen goes off, like everything all at once. It starts going off. I was like, okay, that's weird. Maybe it's just the fog, whatever. 2 minutes later, it goes off again. I'm like, am I missing something?
Somebody's
Like,
definitely walking back.
is
there.
like, is there someone like over, like on the other side that I can't see? Like maybe there's someone over there. And so I'm like kind of peeking, and I haven't left my scare area, like my scare zone at the time, because I was like, I don't know, like if they're over there, I want to be prepared. I don't want them to see me in case like there is someone over there. But I hadn't heard anything else in the house, right? Like I hadn't heard anything else go off. So I was like, it's really weird that I didn't hear like my other person in the house before me, or any other animatronics go off. And then maybe like 2 minutes later it goes off again. And I was like, okay, that's too much of a coincidence, right? And then it goes off again and again and again. It went off 10 different times in the span of like maybe 5 minutes, which I was like, I can't do that. And the vibes started getting weirder.
Not enough people to come through for that.
Did you do white girl and stay there too?
I did not.
Okay, good.
I went and visited my friend. I was like, because the vibes started getting really weird and it was like too much. It was like hot.
I'm glad you know what to do.
It was hot white energy like in there. It was just like, oh.
This is why I always die in your horror movies.
Every time. You just don't run.
So here's the weird part though, okay? So I went to go visit our friend in the other room.
Yeah.
Because like at the time, you kind of had...
So you went to visit the other scare zone.
Yeah, I went to go see the other scare zone.
So she didn't leave. She went into the basement.
Essentially.
Yeah, you know what? Yours is just as bad. You both suck. Like, you gotta go outside.
But I couldn't. And like, because they didn't know what was going on, right? And so I was like, I'll go and talk to them. Maybe they hear something too, right? And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, yo, I just want to come in here and sit with you for a second because like it's weird in there. And he's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, well, didn't you just hear it going off a bunch? And he's like, yeah. He's like, I thought it was just you running back and forth because I could hear footsteps. And I was like,
you heard footsteps?
I was like, I don't want to go back in there. But then I had to go back in because a group started coming through. And I was like, shit, now I have to go back. But when I went back, the energy was like calmer because it had stopped.
Okay.
And the people coming through, it was fine.
Yeah.
Like after that, it was fine. But it was just like within that like 10-minute span of like it just going and going and going that I was like, what the fuck is happening? I don't like this.
Is the whole park like built on land?
I don't know. I don't think so.
I was actually literally like I was just on my phone because I wanted to figure out if it was, and it doesn't say anything. But
No.
I'm assuming this is some land.
There was paranormal investigators who went.
We brought them in.
And they
Taps,
taught,
right?
Yeah,
Taps.
I think. No, it might not have been Taps. I can't remember what their name. Anyways, you can find
the
it on
Vancouver version of Taps.
Yeah,
or
so
whatever.
they came into the area, and even on like the midway, they caught something, quote unquote, because I'm a bit of a skeptic. I will admit that I'm a bit of a skeptic. Because there's some things that I can't explain, but I don't necessarily fully believe in it.
But there's a lot of things that can be explained that people choose to ignore.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
I always try and debunk things before I completely believe that this might have been paranormal, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of things that I've experienced in my life that I can't debunk and I can't rationally explain because I'm like, that just doesn't make sense, right?
Right.
Anyways, so I just remember them saying that they had like investigated the haunt. And in the kitchen, they had found something.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
They had found something, and they told people that they found, like, a growl. Like, a growl
Yeah.
came up. And I was like... And someone was like, oh, do you
What?
want to hear it? And I was like, no.
And I was like, that makes sense in the
Nope.
kitchen.
I was like, I absolutely 100% do not want to hear it because it might...
A growl
Yeah.
equals to aggressive.
Yeah, and I was like,
which
no.
makes sense to your story and your story. It's
Yeah, and
aggressive, repeated.
I absolutely do not want to, like, hear that because I don't want to give it more power. Like, whatever it might be, if it is something, maybe it was a rat, maybe it was, like, some animal. I don't know. We don't know. We weren't there.
Do rats growl? Sorry, that's just like...
It was
but
just
yeah.
the first...
maybe.
It was just the first thing
Well, I mean,
that-
like, I'm not saying they don't, but like...
They hiss.
They do. And
They hiss.
But like, if it's a guttural hiss, it probably could sound like that.
Yeah, like, I don't know what could have been there. There could have been, like, a raccoon or something in the ceiling. We
Maybe
don't
it was
know.
an owl. Who knows?
There could have been anything, right? So I didn't want to, like, hear it and, like, ascribe it to,
Yeah.
like, a being because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
All I'm going to hear is some audio, right? So I didn't want to listen to it. And I know other people didn't. They're like, it was so creepy. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't know.
I think because they put up like a viewing of it at one of the events.
Yeah.
And I went to go and honestly I couldn't hear it.
Yeah.
I couldn't like they were like
you
you just
wanted to hear it.
I wanted to hear it because I was like, well, maybe this can explain what happened to me in the kitchen. And I was just like, I can't hear it. And And I get it. It's like sometimes that stuff is really low.
Yeah.
But I also think sometimes just like something could rub up against a microphone and we're just going to make an assumption on that.
Yeah. It could have
it's
been
true.
anything because we weren't there. We don't know. There's no video footage. It's just audio, right?
True.
But then like other things started happening. So your thing happened, and then I remember a bunch of us started seeing the figure in the body hallway right at the curtain.
Oh, yeah.
With the shoes. Do you remember that? Oh, you don't remember this.
No, because I would have never come back to work. I would have. Did you see my face right now?
Yeah.
Yo,
Okay.
I see. No.
So-
Listen.
Yeah, okay.
What?
Okay.
Oh, she's never going in that house again.
No.
Okay, so
so I
she's
like
adjusting.
getting up ready to leave.
She's like, oh my God,
Listen,
no.
The power outage one when I heard those coat hangers moving, that
Yeah.
really scared the crap out of me.
Yeah.
And just things working when they shouldn't have been working, and I would hear sounds of somebody walking here and there, but I always thought also my imagination was taking the
I mean,
best
it's
of me,
possible
and-
that was that.
but I always was like, yeah, there definitely is somebody here with us. I think there are shadow people having a good time.
Yeah.
But a figure with
Yo.
shoes
Oh,
under
yeah.
the curtain.
So like, but like,
I never saw
sitting in the
nobody.
nursery.
So you would be sitting, and I remember seeing it for the first time, and I was just like, nah, my mind is playing tricks
Yeah.
on me. But then someone else was like, yo, was there someone in the body hallway? I was like,
Go
I
on.
never told anyone about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, what the heck?
Well, the great thing about that room, what I always did, because I felt a little spooked sometimes, I would just open the door wide open to bring all the daylight inside.
Yes, I would do the same thing.
But it was
always
also
did that.
like because that was like access to the outside, so it was also like a rush of fresh air.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you're kind of like
had
I can
that
breathe
thing- I had
again.
that thing opened always.
all the time, and I'd sit in the doorway, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I would be in the nursery, and I remember I would be sitting like towards that section,
Yeah,
and I'd
that's
be
the
like
view.
reading
That's
my
the
book
view, yeah.
or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just see like feet at the edge of the curtain,
No way.
and I'm like,
like
Who's
bare
there?
feet or shoes?
shoes, boots,
Yeah, like
like
someone's
boots, like
shoes.
someone's work boots,
Yeah.
and I would just be like, my mind's playing on tricks on me.
Just standing
like
there,
absolutely
behind the curtain.
yeah, and every once in a while it would look like someone was like looking through like this,
No,
and I was
no.
like, nope, my
Dude,
and I'm like,
no.
and I remember just being like, no, someone is playing tricks on me. And there was one time where I was like, I went and I was like,
Like actually
Who-
physically touched it.
it's back here. I did
You
the white girl
went
thing.
towards. What is up with y'all going towards the
I
danger?
had to know. I
No-
had
no.
to know.
Why?
I just needed to.
Go outside.
But I did the
You
thing.
all- What is?
I did the
what?
thing like you, where I would just like I
No, you
open
didn't.
the door.
I went the other way.
No, but I would always have the door open. Yo.
Okay.
And then
that
she
was
went
like-
to go check it
and
out.
then you-
Because at a
Yeah.
certain
Okay,
point you want to be
I
like,
would go check with the light on.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
go check with the light.
So-
on. Yes.
yeah, like I never had
That's creepy, yo.
the
was
shoe
weird.
thing, but in the same room it was
Like a presence.
yeah, it was a presence, and it was just like you. I had an experience where I was like, I'm not gonna tell people about this unless they mention it because
Yeah.
I feel like my mind's just playing tricks
Yeah,
on me.
because it always felt like because there was like strobe lights in
Yeah.
there. The curtain sometimes moved because of the wind.
And
Absolutely.
it's a body hallway.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
Just kind of. You
Yeah,
know
yeah.
what's back there.
Yeah.
So mine was a shadow, which with all of the strobe lights and like sometimes the wind like
gosh.
hitting the curtain and everything like that, like your mind can play tricks on you. But I swear to God, swear to anyone, the metal gods, everything. There was this time that I'm sitting there and I'm just chilling and I'm bored.
Yeah.
And it's like kind of overcast outside because it's raining, so I'm super bored because no one is like gonna go to a theme park when it's raining necessarily.
Truth.
And so the lights were going, and it's again just like the kitchen. There's a pattern to the lights, and there's a pattern to everything.
Yeah.
Because it's on a continuous loop.
Yeah.
So I remember looking at the wall, and this was around the time that you guys had started talking about the hallway, and I was like, man, I just want to see some shoes. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I want to see something, and I regret saying that because afterwards
Gigi's
Gigi's
face.
just like,
I'm just
this
staring at you like
bitch.
this bitch. Yeah, I'd love to see danger.
She's like,
Right in front
no,
of me.
no,
No. I just want to manifest the scariest thing ever.
And I did,
Like,
but like not. I don't know because it was like on the wall that like
Yeah, that's
Yes.
adjacent.
that's like holding the curtain into that body hallway room.
Yeah.
There was this light, and I swear it's like I don't know if it was a man. I don't know if it was a beast. I don't know what it was, but it's like, it's got the general figure of like a head with like shoulders and like a body.
Yeah.
And it was on the wall. And as all of the other shadows are like moving with the turning light.
Yeah, because of the strobe.
Yeah. It stayed.
Oh.
And like everything moved around it. So it was kind of like it was standing in front of the light.
Right.
Causing its own shadow.
Oh, I hate that.
And I was like,
I hate that.
And I was like, okay, no, that's not a thing. So I was like, and then it was gone. And then I was like, okay, so I kind of was like, there was like this prop that would jump out of a crib. And I was like, maybe it's that. And so like, I'm watching, and like every time the cycle restarted, I'm like studying this wall. Being like, is it that? And I would move over like 2 centimeters from where I was sitting so that I could watch it again.
Because you're
like,
trying to figure out.
Maybe it was a different angle. I'm like, I had people like the supervisor I would ask to walk up and down the hall, stand in front of the curtain, stand next to the curtain. I could not recreate that shadow.
Didn't come up again.
No.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so another story involving an actor. I was a supervisor at the time.
Okay.
I had lent this person a book called John Dies at the End. I think I've told you about this.
Yeah.
Which, that movie, the original, like the movie that they did, absolute crap. I wish
the book
could do it. The book is amazing. It needed so much more. They did it bad. Anyways.
So many remakes are happening.
Let's get used to it.
Yeah.
Like, Gigi, if you had the opportunity to remake that film, I would back it 100%.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay, so I lent her this book, and she was at a page where they were talking about shadow people. Because why wouldn't you read it in a haunted house? Of course.
See, I never did that.
So
I never would do that.
I did that, and this other person did that. So they were reading, and then suddenly the audio in the bedroom like turned up really loudly. And at the same time, I was in the back room, and you remember the stereo that was back there?
Yes.
It turned off, and I was like, I looked at it, and I was like, what the heck? And then it turned back on.
That's like one of those boombox style that you like. It's not a touch screen. It is a hard button to press.
You have to
So
move the button.
as I was about to go over to it to turn it back on, it turned back on. I was like, okay, that was friggin' weird. And then I was like, that's weird. It's fine. Probably fine. And then I come back into the house, and the audio is just so loud. And I like went up to this actor. I was like, what's going on? And she was like, it just jumped. Like the audio just like jumped. And I was like, I went white face. I was like just now?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I was about to go and like adjust it. And I was like, yo, the audio in the in the back room turned off and then turned back on. And she was like, yeah, literally as you were coming out, it jumped. And I was like, what the hell? Like, that is way too weird. Can't, like, and I went and looked, and it had jumped up, because usually, I think we set it at, like, 50. It was at 75.
Oh, my God.
So it, like...
Oh, it's like literally someone came over and just, like, cranked it.
Yeah, you gotta literally move the knob.
Yeah.
To 11.
You gotta take these amps to 11. So it was, like, another one of those things where I was like, I can't debunk this. Like, I can't
explain
it, because that, like, actual audio piece is, like, so far underneath this animatronic that you'd actually have, like, you couldn't, like, bump it.
No.
I remember to set that room up, you had to lift up the sheet, you had to pull out the machine.
Yeah, and turn it
Oh,
up.
that one, yeah.
You had to really be there to...
You had to climb in that thing, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That thing sucked.
Yes. So so that happened. That was another thing. And then, like, in the last, like, handful of years, like, I guess there's been more stories. Like, I haven't kept up with all of them because, like, there's just so many. And, like, it's other people that are reporting them. And I'm like, I didn't tell you all about a lot of these things. And so they're coming with, like,
their
stories that, like, coincide with things that had happened previously. And, like, it's just wild. So if you...
At a certain point, it was like you just
kind of have to accept it.
Yeah, you just accepted it, and you would hear these, like maybe not like the big things wouldn't happen anymore, like large animatronics aren't going off necessarily, but you'll hear these small things where it's like slight knock behind you on a door.
You're like, it's
or
fine.
Like you just, but eventually that became like background noise where you're like, I gotta go turn on this big animatronic. I don't have time to deal with you right now. Yes, hi. Yes,
hello.
I'm here.
Well, the
Good morning,
moment you
house.
start talking to shadow people, it is a lot more comforting. It does change.
For yourself.
It does change the game.
Whether you believe it or not, or whether it's true or not,
Let's do it.
it does, like, even if that small bit of scared is in you, it just like makes you feel a little bit more relieved because you just feel like you have that power again.
I just remember, I don't remember who started doing it, but everyone who like learned how to set up the house started saying, "Good morning, house."
Yep. Oh, you have to.
Good morning, house.
Yeah, that's very true. I would always say hi to the house.
Yeah, good morning, house.
Yep.
Nice to see you today, yada, yada, yada. We're going to have a good day. Like, something along those lines. It became, like, tradition. And I can't remember who started it. And it doesn't really, like, matter who started it.
No, because it was just, like, when we realized that was happening, we were like, you know what? That is a smart thing to do.
That's a really good idea.
Because it was, like,
you're setting the mood, right?
Yeah, it was haunted workers being scared, essentially. It's like you're going to work to scare people, but you're being scared while you're at work being scared. And you're like, okay, so what do the guests do to feel more comfortable? And how can I do that as well?
And usually they'd come in going, hi, hello, please don't scare me.
Like the haunted actors are like
we were
so
literally
timid.
the guests.
Yeah, we were like, hi, I'm just going to turn on the lights. Don't worry. I'm going to go in the back in a minute. So it's fine. And then, I don't know. I know everyone would say hi, but like, you at the end of the night,
that was always the weirdest.
It was the scariest part because as like the supervisor,
you have to turn everything off.
Everyone else is in the back getting their makeup off. They're in the bright lit makeup room, and you have to go through and you have to turn off certain air compressors and you have to turn off all the lights and lock the front door. So I would do everything, and I would go to the front and be like, okay, I'm locking the door and the lights are going out now. And then you have to walk like maybe 20 steps to the back of the house. It's not long, but you're like
the longest 20 steps.
You're like, it is so dark and you're like, oh my God. And then you get to the back and you go through the door and you're like, I made it.
It's the exact same feeling when you like turn off the lights in a basement and book it up the stairs.
Oh,
do you know what I'm talking about?
And you never want to look back. Don't look
back. Don't look back.
See, I don't. That's one thing I promise you I don't do.
Okay, good.
I do not look back, and I whenever there's been something like scary, I'm like, out the door. You do not go downstairs. You do not go upstairs. You go out the door.
Yes.
Fuck everything else.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I remember always setting up the house, literally saying out loud what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, just to touch on that, you go out the front door. It's like, I've been in horror movies.
Yeah.
Not just with you, but like other indie movies where it's like, the character's like, let me run into this closet with no one else here. And I'm like, God, this character's so fucking dumb. Like, why are you running into a closet? There's a phone in there? Okay, but like, you're now stuck in a goddamn closet.
Stuck in the closet. Yeah.
Yes. First place the villain's gonna look at is the closet.
Yeah.
Why? Because you fit.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
Come on.
Okay, so Gigi.
Yes.
So far, to date, what has been your favorite movie that you have done?
Oh, man.
I know, hard question.
Ooh, wait. Okay, so we're saying, what movie have you done? Whether it's like you've acted in, you've directed.
Oh, that's I can only pick one.
Okay, well, how about 3?
Oh, goddamn. Okay,
we'll give you 3.
Yeah,
like top 3.
Okay.
Plug yourself.
Yeah.
Man, that's tough. I think definitely, if I had to pick out of the directing, and I've been really fortunate enough to, like I said, have made features now. I made about, I think, 18 short films. But I think the most just thing that I'm just most, man, I'm like, I look at it, I'm like, that's the most Gigi thing out there is definitely the short film El Gigante.
Yes.
That short film represents me in every way, shape, and form, and the creativity was just it was everything I had. And not that I haven't put that on the things now, but I felt there was a certain type of freedom that short I wanted everything that I was imagining on that.
Right.
It was like, and this is just such a weird reference, and I hope you appreciate it, is like, that was like your La Quinceañera for your films. It was like, that was your coming out of who you are for film version.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I think that was definitely the film that represents my voice as a filmmaker. And now people always, when they see, for example, Culture Shock, my feature debut, or when people will see Bingo Hell, they're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's Gigi's style, because of
exactly it cemented you.
Yeah, because of the stamp that El Gigante made.
Totally.
And so for me, I'm like, I love it so much because people remember me through that one.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited that people can reference that style and that voice, like, oh yeah, that's Gigi.
Yeah.
You know, because of that one. So
that's
you know,
one.
and it's the short film I hope we will make into a feature. It's the
Yes,
goal.
please.
It's the dream.
Yes,
and I
please.
think it'll happen when it's meant to.
Pretty please.
So that's one.
Okay, what's the next one?
Definitely, you know, it used to be my favorite role I've ever done. It used to be Super Monsters Vida.
Yeah.
Yes.
But now during COVID, I was fortunate enough to book my first 2 lead roles, but in animated shows. But this one, I can't say the name, but it's for Netflix, and it's based on a very famous phone app or video game app.
Ooh, that's
Very
exciting.
famous. Yeah, I'm one of the lead characters.
Waiting with
in it.
bated breath to find out what this one is.
And it comes out next year in January, and it's the funniest character. I have so much fun. It's the first acting role. I had to take off my shoes to act it. I had to put that much energy.
Was it like because like for voiceover or for like
voiceover?
Okay.
Yeah,
Ooh, you really grounded yourself.
It's the biggest thing I've ever done for voice, and
awesome.
I'm so excited for people to see this one. You'll know right away when you're like, oh, that famous
Yeah.
video
Okay,
game,
okay,
that
okay.
famous app. Okay, I get it.
I'm so excited.
I'm so curious.
And you know, to put number 3, I'm really proud and excited that the new movie Bingo Hell, we shot it during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And it's a movie, and you'll see it in the credits that it's dedicated to my grandma. And her picture is on the credits. And to me, that's a big win. That's a big accomplishment and something for the family.
Yeah, absolutely.
So definitely I would put that Bingo Hell number 3.
I
Heck
love
yeah.
your grandma so much.
Oh,
Your
thank you.
abuela.
I can't wait for her to see this film.
Yeah.
Oh, she's gonna love it.
Yeah.
She's like your biggest fan. Like I know your entire family is your like number 1 fan club.
Yes.
Like you've got a fan club, but like your family is
Oh no,
the
they're
president.
Numero uno.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think your grandma is just like when she sees you, you guys are just like you can see the pride beaming off of her.
Yeah.
She doesn't say much, but she just sits there and the smile
beaming.
and when she looks
Yep.
at you, she's just
Mama
like
Coco.
Yeah, exactly.
Mama Coco.
She's
Yeah.
like, that's my girl.
Remember me.
Oh man, that movie makes me cry every time.
Why would you do that?
Okay,
I saw
okay.
Coco
Okay,
with my
question.
grandma.
I have another question,
Yeah.
and then we'll probably call it.
Probably start wrapping it up.
Yeah, we'll probably start wrapping it up. So, okay, final question.
Dun, dun, dun.
Working on Bingo Hell during COVID, like what were the like main challenges aside from like the very obvious one of like not like people not getting sick? So like with shooting during a pandemic, aside from people getting sick or potentially getting sick, like what was the biggest challenge around that?
Well, I mean, definitely the thing that scared everyone the most was the fact that there's a pandemic for sure.
Yeah.
But it was always acknowledging that our lead actors are seniors.
Oh,
They're-
snap. Right.
Right. The
Yeah.
heroes on Bingo Hell, which is really cool, breaks the stereotype of the
Yeah.
weak and old.
Super cool.
These are
So awesome,
these are senior citizens kicking ass. So it was always the question of, are we gonna find those actors that want to work during really scary times? Oh yeah, no, they wanted to work. They wanted to work bad. They were the ones most excited to want to work.
I bet.
But it was also, you know, this was the first movie, and like I said, I've worked on so many shows, whether it was as an actor or as a director. This was the first time that, unfortunately, I didn't know people's names or what they look like.
Oh, wow.
Because everybody had a mask.
Right.
And we were all separated through zones. So you would have a lanyard that would say you're zone A, zone B, zone C, blah, blah, blah.
So I guess
And that would, would designate who you can be with. So
and who
for
you
me,
can like talk to. And,
yeah, so for me, zone A, it was strictly actors and
Right.
the DP.
Right.
In
my
the first
God.
AD.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know, I was really sad that I just didn't know people's names.
Yeah.
I didn't know what people looked like.
Yeah.
And on our last day of set, you know, there was a few people that even through the mask, the personality shined. And we secretly asked each other, can I see what your face looks like?
Yeah.
It was
Pull down
such
the
a
mask a little.
strange thing. And it was there was a few people that I'm like, oh, you're so cute, or like, wow, like you have a beautiful smile, or whatever that, you know, makes
like
people who they are.
A speakeasy for a pandemic kind of thing. Like,
Yeah,
come around the
so-
corner and I'll show you what I look like under my mask.
Yeah, and like that was definitely the hardest part of making this, is that and I'm that lead. I'm that person that sure loves to lead, but I love knowing who my team is.
That's something you've always brought to your
having that family
to your well, I mean, since day one, you have always welcomed people in, not just to like be part of Luchagore Productions or whatever you're working on. Is like you have always made every single person feel like their family.
Totally.
Thank you.
Totally.
And that's like, I mean, your mom would make was Art Craft Services, and she didn't just bring
Every
in
time.
like some chips and like a couple cucumber
no, she'd
sandwiches.
make meals.
But like home cooked from scratch
And
full
the
meals.
best meals.
I owe
The
her.
best.
Actually, I have a story. Is that I remember your mom making chili rellenos one time, and you had it in the back room of the haunt, and you were eating it. And I was like, man, Gigi, that smells really good. And you were like, you want to try some? And I was like, oh, sure, I'll try some. And then I was like, dang, that's really good.
Smack my ass like a drum.
Yeah. And then the next day, you must have told your mom or something, because you came with like a bin.
I brought you all some.
Yeah, and I was like, I'm in love with your mom.
I know.
No, she'd always be like, I'm not cooking for you. So what day do you need me?
Yeah.
But it was so cool. But yeah, I mean, with Bingo Hell, that definitely not having that intimacy with your team and having those inside jokes made it really hard. But in a way, it was necessary to be so by the book.
Yeah.
To be, we all would have to test 3 times a week.
Oh, man.
We would not have lunch breaks. We would shoot straight 10 hours.
So you guys
and
did
go
French
home.
hours, essentially?
Yeah, so
okay.
definitely, it was one of those things where it forced me to over prepare.
Right.
But at the same time, there's no room for mess ups.
Right, no room
so
for
it had
error.
to be what you prepared is what you will make. So
Dang.
that also stopped us from going the extra mile of, what about this idea?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
you love doing that. You're so good at being like,
there
add
really,
on.
Yeah.
So there really wasn't opportunities like that. But how cool that we were still able to work.
Yeah.
during
Yeah,
the
that's the big
pandemic.
absolutely.
Yeah,
So-
because like, I mean, still to this day, some people are like, do we keep going? Do we
Yeah.
pause? Is
Yeah.
it better to pause now
Yeah.
while it's okay, but it looks like it's going downhill? Or do we just persevere and keep going
Yeah.
through?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and during the movie, not only was it pandemic, it was also during the election.
Oh,
in
yeah.
the States. It was one of those
right.
things where people were very divided at the beginning of the year. So
The lesser
it was
of
a
two
lot
evils.
of staying in your hotel. The same routine: wake up, go to work, come back, hotel. That's your day.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of learning also how to take care of myself because I had time. Hate to say I had time.
You had time.
I would do things like watch Bridgerton at
Right.
night.
So
I would-
good.
That's
That
where
was a good show.
I actually had time to
Yeah.
do what is called relax.
Yeah.
And what is called just put your mind on
Yeah.
things and take your time.
Yeah.
It was a very different experience, but at the same time, I learned a lot.
For sure.
But yeah, working with seasoned actors was the coolest
I
thing.
bet.
I
Oh, God,
can't.
yeah.
These guys were man. They're in so many movies.
Yeah.
But you could tell that these seniors wanted to work on a horror movie.
Yeah.
They wanted something different to come back from the pandemic and
Yeah.
just kick so much ass.
Yeah.
And we had a blast.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yay!
That's super cool. I'm super
Thank
excited
you.
to see the movie.
I can't wait. When does Bingo come out?
So it comes out on Amazon Prime October 1st.
Oh, yeah.
So soon.
So soon. That is like really close. So it's a perfect way to kick off Halloween.
And
Halloween,
that's scary
yeah.
too, man. That's
Yeah.
pressure.
Oh, dang. Well, I'm going to be tuning in. I know Brianne's going to
Oh,
be tuning in.
100%.
Yeah. It's going to be
100
awesome.
million%. I can't wait. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So, Gigi, with your other bodies of work, Luchagore stuff, where can they find you and all of that good stuff? Like, can they see your other films?
Are
Oh,
you
yeah.
on
We
Facebook?
have-
Are you on Instagram?
Yeah, just follow Luchagore Productions on Twitter, Instagram, .com. We're easy to find.
Right,
and
right.
then myself, I'm all over the place, even TikTok.
Oh,
I
yeah.
make the weirdest videos.
You make the best videos.
I'm like the only Gigi Saul Guerrero out there. So it's
Yeah,
easy
yeah.
to find me at Horror Guerrero.
Yeah.
Trust me. no one's got my name.
Yeah,
so
you'll
you
find her.
You
Fact.
can find me. Stay tuned with all the cool things we got coming up, and hopefully another movie soon.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, I think that's where
Thanks
we're
for
going to
having
wrap
me.
it up. Thank
Oh
you
my
for
gosh,
coming.
thank you for coming on, our very first guest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope to
Woohoo.
be back. We got tons of stories.
Oh,
to
yeah,
share.
we've got so many
I
stories.
I want to share so many more
I know.
haunted house stories.
We've got we
my
basically
gosh.
just like the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll do a full like roundup and
Oh,
circle
yeah,
around.
Yeah. Cool.
Always
cool.
more stories.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. We're
Thank
so
you.
glad that you guys could tune in once again on our third episode with the wonderful Gigi with Luchagore Productions.
Yeah.
You guys can find us at Just Haunted House Things on Instagram, and you can hit up our DMs.
We're also on Facebook.
Yep. You guys can, if you want to share your own haunt stories, we will do them on the show anonymously if
Yeah.
you want. There
If
is
you've
a submission
seen-
or our DMs.
Yeah. If you've seen any of Gigi or any Luchagore production stuff that you've liked in the past, drop us a note. Tell us what your favorite was.
Yep.
Yay!
Yeah. And I think that's it for today.
That's
Oh,
it.
also we may have some pretty cool content coming
yeah.
out and or is out on YouTube.
Coming out.
It
It won't be out before this. But
Worth
yeah,
a shot.
we've got some stuff. I'm going to try my best. But yeah, so excited to hear from you guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next one. And this has been
Just Haunted House Things.